bookish friends. It's already the 21st of July, and if you've seen my other recent videos, you will know they're working on the sidewalk on my street, so it's been difficult to find quiet time to film, but they're not out today. I don't know if the rain's kept them away or what, but I don't want to film my wrap-up all in one go. So we're 2/3 of the way through the month, and it looks like I've read a lot, but these are the ones I'm only reading a chapter a month. So I've only actually finished 6 books so far, which I can't be too upset about because I've been doing a lot of stuff with my kids. We've gone to the beach, played games, we've gone hiking, so yeah, can't be too upset. Those things are more important than reading. Alright. If you hear the turning of pages, it's my 4-year-old. I did get to the July chapter of Life Giving Home by Sally and her daughter Sarah, who I do believe is no longer Clarkson. July, I think, was, Heroic Heritage, about taking pride in your country and history and all of those things. Really enjoyed it, and now I can put this back on my stack to read August's chapter. I like to read it toward the end of the previous month so I can ruminate on the focus of the month for the entire month. I did end up reading Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Did I draw this from? No, I finished this. I picked this up at the end of June. That's why I finished my June TBR. My friend sent me this for Christmas. This is the first book in the series. I liked the story of it, but I think it's set in like 1909, and I thought that bits of it were inaccurate. Like, this tiny village in Scandinavia has a woman leader and a woman woodcutter, and the couple was, yeah. So I didn't know what to rate this, but I'm not going to continue the series. Oh, there was also like 1 or 2 swear words per chapter is what it averaged out to be. So I was able to talk to my friend about it, and that was good. And I did pick up A Well-Timed Enchantment by Vivian Van Velde. Her books are, oops, I drew it for buy a book from your wish list and read it within 30 days. I definitely did that. Anyway, this author, I discovered some of her books when I was a teenager, really liked them, and kind of forgot about them for about 10 years. And I've been slowly going through her books and picking out which ones I like and which ones I don't. This one was actually kind of middle of the road. It was a little weird because a girl falls through a well, ends up in history, and her cat turns into a boy who she kind of ends up liking. So that was a little weird, but the rest of the story was interesting. And I read Greetings from Next Door by Chateau Havoc. I actually read this on ebook, but I have the paperback copy, so I can hold it up. She was giving away 3 Kindle books per week for Christmas in July, and so even though I have it in paperback, I snagged it, and I did end up reading it on my Kindle because I had a hard time falling asleep one night, and I picked it up and I read the first half. Because when I'm having a hard time sleeping, I prefer to read on my Kindle in my living room where I don't have light disturbing people, and it was just as cute and lovely as the first one. It's semi-epistolary. There are notes between the neighbors. For the Reader Bookshelf Challenge, I read To Save a King by Rachel Hauck. I have heard good things about this author, but she's just a bit too romancy for me. I prefer rom-coms. This was, it was like one of those Hallmark movies where there's a prince from some made-up country and he comes to America and falls in love with an all-American girl. Except this one had more depth to it, and I enjoyed it, but I'm probably going to unhaul it because I don't think I'll ever read it again. This one was the second book in a series, but I still didn't feel lost or anything from not having read the first book. And I read the third volume of the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. I had originally picked volume 2 for set in the current season, but I ended up reading that in June. And this one is actually set in July and August, so I picked this one up too. First of all, because I really wanted to read it, and second of all, because it was closer to the current season than volume 2. Really funny. Definitely enjoyed it. Lots of humor. I will mention this because I didn't notice that when I read volume 2, but she does include a previously mentioned persons of interest at the beginning, because after the first book she just continues the journal. And yeah, it was very funny. I enjoyed it. I'm so glad I have volume 4 to pick up hopefully soon. And I read 2 of the summer chapters from Seasons of a Mother's Heart, heart-to-heart encouragement for homeschooling moms. It was good. Maybe this one's not sticking with me quite as much as The Life Giving Home, because I think chapter 4 was talking about building your home and what foundation you have and how to incorporate your faith into your homeschooling. And chapter 5 was planning to live and talking about how those plans, how you can plan the history and the math and all these things that you want your children to learn, but it's not necessarily going to make them into the people you want them to be. You need to also focus on teaching them kindness and respecting people and reaching out to other people. It's more than just the book work. You're also building people. And finally, the last one I finished so far this month is The Shadow of Death by Jane Willen. My friend Shatona was getting rid of some books, and I asked if I could read this one. It's the first book in the Sister Agatha and Father Selwyn series. I drew this one for random letters. The title's First Letter. Well, I think books with people from religious orders as the main characters are just not for me, because I read another one, I think, that had a monk as the main character last year or the year before. I didn't like that one either. I think Father Brown mysteries are probably the exception to the rule for me, so I won't be continuing this series. There was some faith mentioned, but it also seemed like some of the non-religious characters also took the Lord's name in vain, and the author wrote that in. And also, except for Father Selwyn, all of the religious characters were women, including the bishop and another vicar, and I don't know if that's accurate for the Church of Wales, but it's definitely not the norm for the United States. Also, she did have some Americanisms in here, like zucchini. They don't say zucchini. I think they say like marrows or squash, and a couple other things. And yeah, for a bunch of nuns, they sure are spending a lot of time on other hobbies. Also, my main beef with this book is she spoiled 3 Agatha Christie books in here. She gave away The Murder Weapon in 1. She totally gave away The Murderer in another one. Luckily, I'd already read that one, and she gave away the personality of the murderer in another one, and I hadn't read the other two, and I'm like, not everyone has read all of Agatha Christie before picking up your book. So, yeah. And then, with the exception of Father Selwyn, all of the male characters end up being murder suspects. What's up with that? Like, I mean, I loved Father Selwyn. He was great. He was probably my favorite character in here. But, like, all the other male characters were murder suspects. So, yeah, I'm probably gonna unhaul this from myself and the other two books. So, I've had two really good books for the month so far. Here's hoping the last third of the month is better. I probably gave myself too long of a TBR because I still have 3. Okay, I have 2 I haven't even started, and 2 I have started. 3 I have started. So I've got A Chance to Die, which is my nonfiction, and then I have an ebook. Yeah, so it's taking me a while. I may wait till I am also buddy reading The Brothers Karamazov with my friend. We're trying to read about 10 pages a day. I've made it about 240 pages in. I hope to get like 250 by the end of the day. I really want to get to, I'd really like to get to 400 pages by the end of the month, because then that means I only have 300 pages to read in August. I really want to finish by in August, but I don't know that I'm going to get 150 pages read in the next 10 days. So, yeah, I'll be back with another update. Okay, it's the last day of July. Sorry if you can hear construction noises in the background, but what am I going to do? Also, children dropping things in the background. Sorry. It's the last day of July. I don't know if I'll film another clip because I haven't gotten everything read I want to for the end of the month yet. So I still have time today, but I also have to bake things. It's my oldest. His birthday's tomorrow. So gotta make cake and be ready for out-of-town guests. Anyway, I have 5 books I want to talk about. I have my cheat sheet because 3 of them are ebooks, and I want to make sure I talk about them, especially because in my last clip I forgot to talk about Winter's Chill by Morgan L. Bussey. I actually made a separate video just on this book, so I'm not going to say too much except I loved it, gave it 5 stars, can't wait for the next one. Well, I'll have to wait because it doesn't come out till next year. But then I read Come Back to Me by Jodi Headland. This is the first book in the Waters of Time series. It was an interesting premise, and a girl, and I guess she's a woman. She ends up traveling back in time, trying to find a cure for her sister's terminal disease. I liked the book. I had a few problems with it, one of which is, why are all the characters attractive? And who wears heels and a nice outfit to go sit with their father in a coma in the hospital? I don't know. Also, it was kind of, it pushed my comfort levels on how attracted to a person you can be. But I won't be continuing the series. But I read it for the Tales of Distant Lands book club. Oh, I left a bookmark in there. It was a library book, so. Then I read Escape to Greenaway. Shadona Habig was doing Christmas in July, and she gave away, I think, 3 ebooks a week. And then the last week she gave away 2, and this was one of them, and it was on my want to read list, so I was very happy to get a free copy. And I just plowed through it. Yes, I read a Christmas book in July, but you know what? It was hot, and I wanted to read about cozy winter. And in this book, we have I'm totally blanking on her name, but she owns a castle that's been turned into an Airbnb, and she was hoping to not have any guests over Christmas, and then Tanya made a last minute reservation, and so her name's Crystal. I could totally be wrong. Anyway, she and Tanya are like, we don't want to do all of the fanfare for Christmas, but poor Joy, the housekeeper cook for the bed and breakfast, she loves Christmas, and so the two other women are like, maybe if we get her distracted with the handyman, she'll not want to do all the Christmas stuff. And it was cute. I liked it, just when I needed. And then I read The Unraveling of Emmeline Dulaine by Lindsay A. Franklin. This is the first book in the Rivenly sphere. This is a portal fantasy. Emmeline sees her sister kind of unravel before her eyes when she's 10, and then 7 years later she ends up going into a fantasy world that she thinks she made up from stories that she was telling her sister, and she just wants to find Camille, but she ends up being on this team of Novum that basically their job is to fix fairy tales and stories when they go awry, and they end up in Oz. I already drew this one for most recent purchase and had a good time with this. I do plan on continuing this series. I'll definitely pick up the second book when it comes out, probably this year. I think I saw that arcs for book 2 were going out, so I won't be getting an arc, but I wish I could get an arc. I'd love to be an early reader for Enclave. I love their books, but what else can I say about this book? Oh, there's a wyvern in it. There's a pet wyvern. I loved it. Frank was awesome. And what else is in the first 50 pages or so? Oh, this book pokes fun at itself and all the YA tropes, and I enjoyed that too. And, oh, finally, the last book I've finished this month is Firebird by Kathy Tyers. I actually read the 2014 republication of it from Enclave. My library has the first 4 books in this series. Yay! And I picked this one because I was looking for something for the space theme for the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge for August, and I'm like, I don't have any books like set in space. I mean, okay, my book club's like, oh, all books take up space on your shelf, or all books take up space in your head. We could read anything, but I actually kind of wanted to do the space theme, and so I was looking online at like lists of Christian books set in space and stuff, and I came across Firebird. I'm like, it's got good ratings. My library has it. I'll give it a try. I read 80% of it in 2 days. And yeah, I think it took me like, I started it late on one day, and then I read like 40% of it one day, and then I didn't have much time to read the next day, and then I finished it yesterday. So I loved it. I definitely plan on continuing the series. It's described as a space opera. It has, I think the author said she was inspired by The Return of the Jedi, which came out right before she first published. The first one came out in 1987. I don't know how long before that she had written it. You can definitely see that. And there's a little bit of Star Trek with the telepaths in it, and then there was like, but the telepaths are the Christians, and it was a lot of fun, and it was intense in some parts, and I really enjoyed it. I wish I could just continue with book 2, but I think I should break them up a bit so they don't run together, and I have other books I should finish, like the 2 books on my July TBR I have not finished yet. I have about 100 pages left in Chronicles of Avonlea, so I might get that one finished today, and then I want to read my Life-Giving Home chapter for August, but if I don't get that till August 1st, it's fine. And then I definitely plan on reading the Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady. I plan on reading the July pages today. So until next time, happy reading. Whoops, forget that. I forgot to go through my goals and stuff, and also I might film another clip if I finish Chronicles of Avonlea. So so far I've given 4 books 5 stars this month. Firebird will probably be my favorite, although Winter's Chill was good, and so was Emma and Lion. But I have a hard time picking one. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 11 books left on my 25 to read in 2025 list, which there's 5 months left in the year. That's on track. Don't know that I've anyway, I gave Come Back to Me 3.5 stars. And let's flip through to, oh right, I forgot to talk about Catch-Up-a-thon. And the summer book bingo, I have 4 prompts left to black out my card. If I can finish The Brothers Karamazov in August, I will black out my board. For Catch-Up-a-thon, okay, location is at home because I read Winter's Chill during that time, which was family focused. I have 6 category. Okay, for category, I could have watched an animated or live action because The Shadow of Death had an illustrated cover and To Save a King had a realistic cover. For genre, I could have done action because The Shadow of Death was a mystery, or fantasy because Winter's Chill was a fantasy, or a period piece because I did read the 3rd volume in the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon during those 2 weeks. For snack, I could have one that was small because I read 2 books that were fewer than 350 pages, or medium because Winter's Chill was like 367, so that falls in the 350 to 450 range. I mean, if we count Karamazov, I didn't finish it, but I definitely read it during those 2 weeks. For snack, I get candy because Winter's Chill was my most anticipated book, or nachos because To Save a King, nacho best choice. Or an icy because Emma and Lion has that bright yellow cover. And I technically did the buddy read because I was reading Karamazov with my friend. And I already said summer book. Okay, so summer book bingo. Winter's Chill, I did Wilderness or Survival because Brigid does have to survive walking to the Nordic territories. What else? Firebird had 1-word title. Escape to Greenaway is a novella. The Unraveling of Emmeline Dulaine I just put in this free space. And Come Back to Me I counted as science fiction or fantasy. So here's my book bingo board. Almost all blacked out. And yeah, I think I put 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I put 8 books on my TBR for July. I've finished 6 of them because July ended up being my month that I read the 2nd lowest number of books all year, even though I wasn't doing school. It's because I'm not doing read alouds with my kids. That must be it. But we're starting up in August, so I will either be back with a clip on Chronicles of Avonlea, or this is the end and there's my timer for my bed. So happy reading!